Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Linking the Blocks. I'm, as customary, in between various meetings, so my location is not 100% optimal. I guess who's listening in here regularly is already used to it. Um, I hope it still is audible enough, and um, we gonna have a wonderful setting today because we have an amazing guest. Been looking forward to this for the longest time. We arranged this, I think, in February, March, a while ago.
Oh,
Um,
hello.
Hello, Vipasana. I'm still in the intro. Give me 1 second.
Hi, everyone. Firstly, thank you so much for letting me join you all and grace this podium. It's indeed a pleasure. Okay,
Yeah, you take it.
so,
You take it before I even can introduce you, so I might just cut it short um, and leave the word to you. Maybe you can give a quick introduction of yourself. We've been working together for a little bit, and your story in Web3 and what you're doing, what you've been going through. I think you have a very unique story, and our audience would love to hear more about it. Real quick, thanks everybody. Welcome to this episode of Linking the Blocks. A little disclaimer, this might be a bit more scripted in some ways than it usually is, and why Vipassana will explain when she explains her story. Um, and in the Q&A, I will probably take most questions. If you have personal questions to Vipassana here, then please put them in writing, and we will see that we answer afterwards or potentially in the Q&A. But that depends a little bit on the situation then. So a little bit of patience. And with this, Vipassana, the first question, tell us more about you and very welcome to our podcast.
okay, so about me, there's something I want to share with you all, like the background and the Web3 journey that I have come across. It's been like a hell lot of ride. I mean, I joined as a truly non-tech person, as a physio who practiced for around 10 years into physiotherapy domain in real life. And then somehow I culminated into being a founder of an NFT project on Solana. As per knowledge, I was the first solo female founder on Solana. Then we started to build Inkworklabs in 2022, and then followed by the same fate on ZK Sync, where we minted out our collection for inkers and had a volume of around 30 Ethereum. So that's what hell life for the right for us. And we were on top of our game back then. NFTs were fun, NFTs were profitable, but somehow it kind of felt very, very empty. Like, I felt like, yeah, fine, I'm making money and all, but it doesn't making any difference in my life, in people's life, or contributing something to the wellness of society or whatever it is. Like, it's my personal thinking that when you talk about tech, unless and until it affects your day-to-day life in a positive manner, in some positive capacity, it makes no sense. So that's how I got in connection with the refi projects. I've been one of the earliest supporter of OFP, Open Forest Protocol, on here, and a few other DAOs like VDAO, Animal Social Club, which are totally contributing into refi and regenerative space for green living. So that's how I got inspired by the way they were doing things and trying to change people's life by, mitigating the effects of CO2 and global warming. It was very, very inspiring the way they did things, and that's how I saw an opportunity to build something like a decentralized model that could benefit riders, drivers, give them some kind of an employment, and also help the environment. So yeah, now we are building GoCabs, trying to um, fulfill that vision of ours.
Okay, thanks a lot. As I mentioned in my intro, you do fight a few health issues, and for that reason, we do this a little bit more scripted. And I'll take over the Q&A. And despite all this, you're building three companies at once. It's extremely impressive. Um, Along those lines, you mentioned GoCabs already, which is a fascinating project that I'm proud to say I'm involved in the capacity as an advisor. And it's been a crazy but also inspiring ride, also watching you build things from scratch. So if you could tell us a bit more about GoCabs and what problem it is solving.
Um, with GoCabs, I think what we are trying to do here is build a smart e-mobility platform which ties drivers to riders on a single platform instead of having a fleet. We are a fleetless platform. It's a community-owned mobility platform which aids flexible fares and technology. Maybe consider it as a decentralized Uber, and our focus is totally to leverage the smart city infrastructure to deepen and real world assets for sustainable transportation. So, what we are trying to do here is solve the problems like we have urban pollution due to fuel based cabs, like it's one of the major contributor to have global warming. Um, so much of stuff going on with the fuel based cabs and vehicles. Then there are these high commissions and subscription for the ride hailing drivers. I mean, they are like almost charging 30% per ride or something like that. And it's exorbitant and too much burdensome. Then there's lack of transparency with data. Like, people are not aware that whatever rides they take, actually the data whatever comes with that kind of transaction, everything else can be monetized, and companies do sell that data and earn so much from it that people are not aware about it. So we are trying to do something, incentivize them for the amount of CO2 they saved into carbon points. Then we are trying to keep it completely transparent by bringing it completely on chain. Everything is traceable, everything is trackable, everything is on chain. So pretty much transparent. Then we are trying to also abridge that Web3 disconnect, like the community that we are part of, the DAOs we are a part of, the NFT projects we are a part of, bring them into a loop to build a network which can actually contribute into what was supposed to be a Web2 domain. So that's how we are trying to do things differently. And then again, there's one more thing. Um, the motto of GoCabs is everyone can be an entrepreneur. Like till now, it used to be like if you want to start a business, say like you're trying to do something in ride hailing, you're a driver, or you want to do a side gig, or you are an entrepreneur who has a plan to do something in this domain, have a company in mobility, or say transport service or something like that. You need to have so much of surplus, so much of capital to put money into AVs, which are not at all cheap. When it comes to AVs, they are pretty expensive, right? So we are trying to do something by offering services like fractionalized loans for procurement of EVs. Then the payment solutions. they are also done separately. We are trying to do um, mm, stuff like offering scan to pay services, bring into loop all the flexible payment solutions from Web3. Then we have totally curbed the non-search segment. Fair bits are enabled, like you can actually negotiate the rides with the driver and place a bid, like whatever fits for your budget, whatever it is, you can just negotiate with the driver and you can get it done. So once you want to onboard yourself as a business owner or as a person who wants to do side gig, you have to do nothing but just register yourself on the platform and bang, there you are. Just match with your rights and get going. Otherwise, when it comes to other platforms, there is so much of fees involved, so much of commissions involved, subscription, everything. But we are subscription free, commission free, and we are not trying to get any kind of money from the drivers. This is how we have designed our entire business model. It's completely free for the drivers. You just get onboarded and start matching and completing your rides.
Yeah, as I said, it's really inspiring and empowering entrepreneurs around the globe. It's a fascinating project. Maybe as a next question, beyond GoCabs itself, what are some of the most pressing inefficiencies in today's transport system that you can solve with means of Web3? Um, Maybe tell us a bit about the broader industry.
I think when it comes to Web3 and ride hailing on Web3, there are so many inefficiencies in space. Like when you talk about the ratio, the EVs, and the charging solutions, it's not at all commensurate. There's so much of rift. Like we still need to do better to lay the foundation. Um, the infrastructure is pretty limited, especially when you think about going in countries like India. There's still so much of scope to cover that drift. Then again, EVs, they are not um, cheap, they are pretty expensive. So it's not affordable for everyone. Then again, there's lack of awareness among people. I don't know why. I mean, everyone is aware of how harmful it is for the environment, but not everyone is talking about these issues. People are like, okay, fine, whatever. They'll go on with their life, go on with their conservative, transportation solutions, the fuel-based alternatives. People are not, that keen about it. They are nonchalant and they are not educated about this. Then people are not aware about the data opacity. They are not aware that there is so much of stuff they are giving out and not aware that it can be actually monetized, the data. Uh, you know, they are not aware of this stuff. Then again, there's stuff like high commissions, then subscriptions. Everyone is just extracting value out of the ecosystem instead of giving it back. So I think these are the few things which are, a thing of concern when you want to go into hardcore transport solution in Web3.
Thanks for the great answer. Um, Furthermore, give me 1 second. There's something. No, now it's back. Um, let's talk a bit about the sustainability side of things. A lot of people have been talking about carbon credits for the longest time. It's not been really taking off. that much yet, but everybody knows it likely will come. So how can blockchain improve the use of of carbon credits, the associated tracking of carbon use and reduction, um, and the trade in transport particularly? So if you can tell us a little bit about that, I think that's a really exciting topic as well, even though it might be a bit more dry, but I think it's something worth talking about.
Carbon credit. Actually, this area is into a gray zone. I mean, the entire concept about carbon credits, it's pretty vague. Like, actually, it's the users, it's the people who actually use the EVs. They are the ones who are responsible for making that bold choice and to choose this alternative and contribute to the ecosystem. So actually, it should be something like they should be incentivized with carbon credits, but the carbon credit, basically, those credits are never ever channelized to the users. They are always you know provided to the source of charging. Like, whenever you talk about carbon credits, they cannot be claimed by the user or the driver or the owner of the EV. So I think this area that needs to be highlighted. So what we are doing here is we are trying to do something to mitigate that problem, instead of putting our money into a registry or validating it, which is basically making it again a centralized process, because registry and all these are all centralized. So instead of going that way, what we are trying to do here is we have an inbuilt CO2 tracker which calculates the amount of CO2 you have removed from the ecosystem by using our right, and we try to convert them into carbon points. And then those points, they can be um, say tradable on platforms, and then you can earn from those carbon points. So it's basically like the rider and the driver both, they can just use as much as they can use our platform, and the more they use, the more they accumulate these points, and they can be redeemed and traded into fiat currency. So this is the one aspect that we did differently. Then again, we are trying to do stuff like verifying credits on chain, trying to build their score, and that way they can be, easily verified and validated for taking fractionalized EV loans, which is also one of the most important aspect of GoCabs.
Yeah, I really like the empowerment of regular people as opposed to big corporates. It's really impressive. The next question, could drivers of fleets be rewarded on-chain for hitting clean mobility goals? You already mentioned it, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit more how that works and how that reward system will be implemented.
I mean, like I told earlier, we are trying to do differently here, by providing the inbuilt carbon tracker where you can actually see how much of CO2 you have offsetted from the ecosystem, and then you can just convert them into carbon points, and they will be tradable in nature. So it applies to both riders and drivers. We are also trying to plan something which can be more like a referral bonus for the people you refer on our platform. If they end up doing this, you'll also get a chunk of portion from whatever they are going to get from these carbon incentives. So it's just pretty straight. You use it more, you do more for the ecosystem, you save more CO2, you earn more. As simple as that.
Amazing. As a last question, this will be a little bit more compact than usual this time. And we talked about why in the beginning. What's holding back Web3 mobility from going mainstream? So basically, what are the challenges that you are facing, that other companies like you are facing? Is it regulation? Is it technology? Is it user habits that are hard to change? Elaborate a little bit on what are the challenges and what are you planning to overcome them?
I think it's a complex question. I mean, it's like when you think about something that's causing a bottleneck for something, I think there are multiple reasons for that. And in this case, I think majorly it's the regulatory uncertainty. Like I've seen the regulatory compliance in various jurisdictions. Like when you think about doing something similar in India, it's very restricted. I mean, there are so many laws and so many regulations. You have to abide by them, and then you have no idea something happens, and then suddenly you're banned, and then you have to start all over again, and it affects a lot, especially as an investor, especially as a founder. I think people, they start investing with a certain target in mind, with a certain budget in mind. But then, if all of a sudden there are some uh, instances like a ban or something, I think it's very frustrating and not good. And looking at how it's going on lately, I think this is the one thing that everyone wants to be away from. Like recently, we were in Vietnam for our first test drive that we completed successfully. Um, we saw that how welcoming they are with schemes related to EVs, or say anything that aids to refi vision. They are very much accommodating, and the regulatory compliance is totally different. They are also regulating the crypto lately. The Web3 scenario is booming there. I think it's same about other APSC regions, talking about Thailand, Indonesia, and stuff like that. So it's a lot, there's a lot of difference when it comes to jurisdictions. So that regulatory uncertainty is one point. Then user resistance to Web3. I think there's a major quota of people who are actually um, resistant to, taking Web2 amenities on Web3. They like to take it in a traditional manner. So, you know, that particular population, that is also one more concern. They are resistant to Web3. Then again, technical scalability. I think that's pretty much obvious. Um, it's not scalable by everyone. You need a lot of capital to do something like this. So I think that's about it. These are the things which are kind of, holding back Web3 mobility from getting mainstream. And if we get the support, especially from the government, especially from, the law regulators, I think we would be in a very happy space.
Amazing. Thanks so much for your answers. To the audience, if you have any question, please post them in the channel as always. I will try to answer them as well as I can. If you have any further questions to Vipasana that only she can answer, then please put them on the chat and we'll see that she can answer in writing afterwards. We have one question from Lent, I believe. and that is, will there be any decentralized arbitration mechanism or protocol for dispute resolution? Yeah, there has to be. I think there's no way around it. We have been talking about it, Vipasana and I did. We haven't really decided on a final layout for it, but it's probably going to be built around a decentralized DAO-like structure to facilitate arbitrage between driver and rider. Basically, there's some, if you feel like you got tricked by the rider in some form or the other way around. How that will look like will be announced soon enough, but it's not decided yet completely. So, any further questions from Luke? Why hasn't ride sharing been disrupted yet by tokenized ownership and decentralized governance? Good question. I think a lot has to do with what Vipassana was just mentioning. A lot of Web3 is not easily accessible to a broader audience. People that want to use a ride-hailing app are usually not necessarily, I'm not necessarily, also blockchain users or crypto users. And definitely the majority isn't deeply into that industry. So if you haven't used the Web3 service, you might not be familiar with, and that's a pet peeve of mine, the usually horrible UI in that industry. I think that's something that in general has to change if we want to see more mass adoption and applications like this that use blockchain and crypto as a tool as opposed as a means of really making a point to use particularly that technology, which a lot of the solutions right now are. Um, so ideally, it's really in the background and it's just like a Grab, Uber, or whatever, and you can use it in the same way. It's just using blockchain in the background. I think that's holding back a lot. Obviously, you need a strong founder that is coping with regulatory issues, all the stuff that Vipassana was just talking about. If you don't have that, and ideally someone with experience in Web 2, because the people you deal with will not be Web 3 natives or even give a damn about it, to be frank. Like if you talk to a government about getting a license for a ride hailing service in a particular city, they won't be interested in you being Web3. If at all, it will be a negative. So there are a bunch of things why that happened. I do think still it's a very good use case for Web3, a real world use case, where you can get rid of the middlemen, just the same as DeFi did with finance in terms of banks in that case. So it's challenging. That's why it hasn't been done 1,000 times before. But I mean, here on this podcast, we do love challenges. Um, and if you know what ChainsAtlas is doing, you know we love challenges for sure. And Vipassana is a good friend because she is very much in tune with that. I hope that answers the question.
To do that, you'll need
Uh,
to be on.
okay, somebody is unmuted. I don't know who that was. Adavail, how will this partnership between ChainsAtlas and GoCabs enhance user experience for both drivers and riders? Could you run through this a bit? So the partnership evolves primarily around an agent for ride hailing. So we are planning to build various agents actually. There's quite a bit of exciting things going on in the background. One which can optimize your experience, can tell you what's the best ride for you to get at the moment, optimize linking the right driver to the right rider, right? And on the other hand, while you're on the ride, there will be an agent which will help you make best use of your time on the ride. That could be you just want to rest, so it will make sure you're not disturbed. It might be you want to be productive. If you have half hour ride, you could do quite a few things in that time. It could connect you with certain opportunities, point you to the right things to do in the meantime. But we talked about conflict resolution, and that's another thing where an agent will be very helpful to facilitate those resolutions around the DAO structure again. But the DAO structure could involve agents as well, which is generally a very exciting concept. But I don't want to tell too much just yet because a lot of this is not really finalized, but so many exciting opportunities. You'll hear more in this space, trust me. I hope that was enough of an answer. I think those are all the questions I see at this point. If you have any more, please let us know now. Otherwise, Vipasana, I want to, okay, again, somebody is unmuted for some reason. Vipasana, thanks a lot for doing this. I know you were a bit worried that it doesn't go perfectly, but you've been amazing, and I really want to extend a warm thank you for doing this and a very, very, very strong invitation to come back. Maybe in a few months' time when GoCabs is further along the road of development, the roadmap, and can't wait for it, to be honest. But there's one last question. Bin Suleiman, please, I want to know what role do on-chain carbon credits play in real-time sustainability tracking? So I think Vipasana can answer that more precisely because it's her domain and it's her field and it's her company. Maybe I leave it to her to do it in writing afterwards. And all I can tell you is what was already said, right? Due to using EVs, you have a carbon credit eligibility potentially because you reduce carbon output, and that can then be distributed. And I mean, the tracking would work using the app, knowing what distance you drive, knowing what the carbon output would be in a regular car. But as I'm not an expert, I might make assumptions that are not right, and therefore I would ask Vipasana to answer in writing afterwards, if that's okay. Thanks everyone for joining. This is a little bit of a shorter episode, only 40 minutes this time, due to the somewhat unique nature of the podcast this time around. Next time, again in 2 weeks, on our regular schedule. I hope you join us again. Again, as always, I don't remember who will be there, but I'm sure it will be an amazing guest. Can't wait for it. And thanks a lot for all of you tuning in once again. It's really appreciated, and see you all again in 2 weeks. Bye bye.